Democrat Senator David Leyonhjelm joins me now at the desk. Good to see you, Senator. A bit away from the madness of last week, but more madness today with Senator Sam Dastyari finally standing down after a week. Was it the right thing to do in your mind?
It was the right thing for his party. They wouldn't have been able to stand on their high horse and attack the Turnbull government while Sam was sitting on the front bench. There's no question about that. It was a complete distraction from their objective of criticising the Turnbull government. So from the party's point of view, I think it's the right thing to do. From his career point of view, obviously he will be a bit sad that he's no longer on the front bench, but he's only young and I imagine he'll bounce back. Technically, he didn't break any laws or rules or anything like that. It's just that there's a bad look about it.
That's what I was getting into, this idea, well, this issue with Jason Clare. He didn't break any rules, nor did Bronwyn Bishop, but it would seem that the rules are out of line with community standards. Wouldn't that tell us that the rules need to be changed?
No, I quite like the idea of having unwritten rules, if you like. There's an understanding that if it doesn't pass the pub test, you know, you can't prescribe everything about life. Some things are just decency or the sniff test, and others are so serious you've got to put them in black letter law or black letter rules. So I think it's good that he didn't break the rules, but still, there was quite a kerfuffle about it, and he's decided in the best interest of his party that he should go onto the backbench.
There's been a broader conversation being had about foreign donations and whether they should be banned altogether. Now, you're not a fan of that idea. Why not?
Well, I'm going to give you an example. Gary Johnson is the Libertarian Party candidate in the United States. He's running against Trump and Clinton. If I was an American, I couldn't possibly vote for either Trump or Clinton. They're both terrible options. Whereas Gary Johnson, he won't win, but he's a viable competitor, and he'll probably get 10 to 15% of the vote, I hope. Now, I would think, seriously that I might contribute to his campaign and help him do well. We need a libertarian voice in world politics. America needs a libertarian voice. My party is Libertarian, the Liberal Democrats. Now, suppose the shoe was on the other foot and somebody in America, a Libertarian supporter, member of the Libertarian Party, donor, whatever, said, well, I think Libertarianism in Australia is struggling. They need more support and they would like to contribute to my party's campaign. I don't see any reason why they don't. The only thing I insist on is transparency. It should be known if there's a donor from overseas or even within Australia who contributes to my party. Now, if someone says...
Sorry to interrupt you, but at the moment, essentially, donations at a certain level are known to the party. So the party knows who they're coming from, the public doesn't.
Yes.
That's not right.
No, I agree. It's poor. And compared to the UK and the USA, we're very, very slow to report political donations. They both have a minimum of a quarter. In fact, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's even much more frequent than that in the United States. We don't report political donations for well over a year. And by that stage, it's all old news and you can't take it into account when you're voting for a party, really, except, maybe think about it for the next election. It would be much better if we knew who was donating, say within a week, and you could say, well, as a consequence of that donation, I don't think I'll vote for that party because I think it smells. There's something about it that I don't like. Or alternatively, well, that's good. They're getting the support of this organisation or this group of individuals or this person. That's a sort of an endorsement, if you like. It fills me with some confidence that I'm on the right track.
Well, I'm not sure whether the crossbenchers do get to be a part of the Joint Standing Committee on Electoral Matters, do you?
I'm nominating for it.
Right.
We can be participating members, which means you get to do everything except vote. And sometimes these things come to a vote, but not that often, so it's not that big a deal.
You can always write a dissenting report, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's right. But I am going to nominate for that committee. I have a very close interest in it. Small parties tend to be much closer to the action than the big parties do, or especially the big parties' MPs. The Labor Party and the Liberal Party, and even the Greens for that matter, are run by unelected people, so employees of the party. So they're often, the MPs themselves are often not the ones closest to the action. Whereas in a little party like mine, I can't get away from it. It's part part of who we are and what we do.
Well, I look forward to that Joint Standing Committee getting underway and reporting back. But it is a slow process. It's likely to take the better part of a year, if not longer. There's other issues they need to look at as well. The AEC, whether some form of electronic voting is viable. But they're all issues I'm sure we'll talk about down the track. But I just quickly wanted to ask you, seeing that this exposure draft on superannuation legislation has been released, the easy parts, it seems, or the revenue side of the superannuation reforms have been released by the Treasurer, but not the things like the $500,000 cap. If the government does move that cap, the backdating of it, or the cap itself, will you vote for superannuation reform?
No, this is a tax increase. There's no avoiding that. Even without the $1.6 million cap, the $500,000 lifetime limit, and reducing the ceiling to $25,000, they're still saying they're going to raise $3 billion over the forward estimates, so over 4 years. It's a tax increase. There's a lot about our superannuation system that's wrong. I was in Switzerland in July, getting away from politics straight after the election, and I discovered that the Swiss are eminently sensible in many areas that we're not. They have what I think is the right approach. They don't tax the money as you put it into your superannuation scheme. They don't tax the earnings on it, but when it comes out, when you draw it out, you pay tax on it as any other income. Now, whenever I do trips overseas, which I do, people my age tend to do that, most of them call it spending the kids' inheritance.
Skiing.
Yeah, that's right. I discover there are lots and lots of people on similar sorts of trips to mine spending up their money so that they can come home and qualify for the pension. They're spending money to get on the public teat, basically. Now, that's a terrible thing to do. They can also take lump sums out of their superannuation and build a new kitchen or buy a new car or something like that and qualify for the pension. Now, if we taxed that money as it comes out of the superannuation funds as income, the incentive for them to pull it out in lump sums and qualify for the pension would be removed. They wouldn't do it. But ours is started off well. It was designed by Labor, Paul Keating, as a way of getting people off the pension, but it's not working that way very well. We're stuck at about 22% of people who are relying on their superannuation and not the pension, and it's not going up. And that's wrong. There's something wrong with the system. And I think the tax treatment of it is what's at fault.
Okay, well, the government's still having to negotiate with its backbench at the moment. I'm sure the negotiation will start with you eventually. Senator David Leyonhjelm, thank you for your time as always.
My pleasure.